Easter. I don't know what your first memories of Easter are, perhaps eggs, Easter egg hunts, those sorts of things. One of the things that sticks in my memory from my childhood is coming on Easter Sunday morning, coming to our church in Plympton near Plymouth, and up on, as you sort of came towards the church, up on a hill above, the ministers from around the town would erect a cross early on Easter morning, and the cross of course was empty, and just this sort of memory of coming into church each Easter Sunday and glancing up, and there above the church, high up, was the empty cross over the whole town, is perhaps one of my enduring memories of Easter. And of course the empty cross is central to our faith. Paul writes to the Corinthians in 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 14, he says this: "And if Christ has not been raised, our preaching is useless, and so is your faith." Our preaching is useless, and so is your faith. For Paul, the cross was not, or the resurrection was not a mere sort of subsidiary fact or some sort of appendix to the gospel or our faith, but actually was completely and utterly central. Without a belief in the resurrection, our faith is hopeless, our faith is useless. Why would that be? Why would Paul be so strong about us having to believe in the physical resurrection, this historical event that happens to Jesus 2,000 years ago? Well, without the resurrection, Paul's writings, the writings of the other apostles, the gospels that are being handed down to us, aren't offering a reliable record. They can't be trusted. Without the resurrection, all of Jesus's promises, his repeated promises, his assurances are all worthless. If Jesus hadn't been raised, then death is still final. Death is still the end. Death is still victorious. And if death's still there, then there's no good news. There's no eternity with God. There's no good news for the dying. As Peter Lewis, commentator in his book The Glory of Christ, notes, he says, if for a saviour we only have a ghost, then for heaven we shall only have a dream. In other words, if Jesus hasn't been raised, he's no saviour at all, and therefore any hope that we have has gone. The resurrection, brothers and sisters, is not a footnote in history, but is a central part of the gospel, and our belief in the resurrection and its consequences and its effects for our faith. It's absolutely central. It cannot be removed. And we celebrate this morning this wonderful resurrection where the disciples turn up at the tomb and Jesus has gone. He's risen. And that is absolutely central to our faith. And over the course of the next couple of videos or so, we're going to look at some of the consequences of that for today, living in the light of the resurrection. Hope that you have a wonderful Easter Sunday despite our confinement. God bless you. Happy Easter. He is risen. He is risen indeed.